All right, so we're going to be preparing the New York steak and the scallop potatoes with the fire roasted vegetables. Before we begin, we're going to go over kinds of steaks we have. We're going to be doing a New York. Okay, this one is a choice, which is $12.99 a pound. And then this one that I have here is a prime, which means it's the best quality you can get. So we're going to compare the two and let's go over the differences. So as you can see here, the choice, it's got less marbling. This got more marbling. So this one's going to be a lot more tastier. Plus it's a higher grade. Okay, you see how the meat is darker red. Here, this one's a little bit lighter. So again, on this particular steak with the choice, you got larger muscle fibers. This one you have smaller muscle fibers, which means it's a more tender steak. Okay, so these are the difference in the two. Very important that anytime you're doing a steak, whether you're grilling it, or if you're searing it, or reverse searing it, that you let it rest for at least 20 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get this and keep it rested for 20 minutes. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start on our Dauphinoise potatoes, or what we call scallop potatoes. All right, so basically you guys are going to be using two potatoes. They're going to vary in size, so the amount of salt and pepper that you put in there is going to vary. We're also going to be using, you guys will either be using Swiss or Gruyere, and Gruyere is basically a French version of Swiss cheese. Okay, so we're going to be using that, and then we're going to be adding some nutmeg, and then you guys will be using heavy cream, and I've got half and half, but they'll both work. All right, so for the potatoes, this is a nice little box grater here. So obviously you'll be grating your cheese, but you could also slice your potatoes on this. So I'll show you an example of how to slice those potatoes. Also, you could use a mandolin, which we have available if you want to use those, or if you want to do them by hand with the knife, you certainly can do it that way. So I'll show you the ways to do it on this. All right, so we'll go ahead and get our potatoes going, fill them up. All right, so get the last of this. We get our other potatoes. You guys are actually going to do 2 potatoes, okay? So then you got your pan. Now what you want to do is go ahead and get your cream, and let's get it into your pan. And based on the recipe, again, yours is going to be a little thicker, but the potato has enough starch that it will be able to thicken up naturally, okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you using the box grater, basically slicing the potatoes. So you could do them in that box grater. And we've got, so it's consistent in size. Okay. Set them in there. That's one way you can do it. Of course, the other way is go ahead and get this. And again, it's okay if you slice that one, put it right in, and try to be as consistent as you can. You don't want to get them too thick. So if you feel comfortable doing it with the box grater, or the cheese grater I should say, you could do it with the cheese grater. Okay, so we'll get these in. And what's good about putting the cream in there is your potatoes don't oxidize, right? You kind of keep them nice and keep the color on those. So you do kind of got to work a little fast on these. So again, whichever works for you. Again, by knife, take out a little piece, put it into your pan. You've got a nice foundation. All right, so you got them in there. Got your cream. You might have to adjust. Okay, we're going to go ahead and open up the cheese. I'm going to cut off the sliver here. And here we go. Add your cheese. Mix it up, and we'll probably add a little more cream to it as well. All right, so let's add a little more cream to it to kind of top it off. Then we'll add our salt and pepper. We got a salt, pepper, garlic mix. Set it in. Now you might want to go a little bit on the salt, pepper. Just be very careful because again, this does reduce, which intensifies the taste. We're going to add some nutmeg that gives us a nice, good depth of flavor. And just make sure you mix it up really well. You could taste it too. So you need to give it a little taste. All right, now don't press down on it. Leave it nice and loose. You want that air to circulate. Again, making sure that it's able to breathe. So we are going to go into the oven. We'll let that go probably around anywhere. It's probably going to take yours about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes roughly. Okay. This will probably take a little longer because we're using more potatoes. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we're going to cut our vegetables. Meanwhile, our steaks are still resting. Okay, and again, if you look on the left, or at least my left, which is this side, you have the choice. On the right is the prime. You can see the difference in the two. And again, you guys will actually be doing both. So I'm going to kind of give 4 people in a group. 2 people will have the choice, 2 people will have the prime. You guys can kind of cut it up and then just compare the two. Okay, you'll each get a steak. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get these going. You'll have some mushrooms, you'll have some zucchini, carrot, yellow bell pepper. But roughly you'll be getting a half of a zucchini, half of a carrot, maybe 2 mushrooms, a half of bell pepper, half of an onion. We'll go ahead and peel the carrots. The carrots have to be cut thin, okay, because they are more dense. The others, you want to cut them large, okay, in order to get the full effect. These are really good veggies to have. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cut these nice and thin. Very important you cut them thin. Otherwise, if you don't, you want to blanch them and then shock them. So cut them in half. And then cut them any way you want, as far as if you want to cut them straight, or on a bias. But whatever you do, cut them thin. And there's our carrots. So nice and thin. We'll get our mushrooms, cut off the ends. Cut them large, you can cut them into quarters, or you can cut them a little bit smaller. We'll go ahead and get our bell pepper, clean it. Again, thirds, so roughly 6. Depending on the size. So nice large cuts, okay? We use an onion. I'm going to use half of this onion. Just like that. Bring that over and just kind of break them down to smaller portions. Try not to keep them whole. Kind of break it down this way. Okay, it doesn't have to be all that way, but as much as you can. And just mix it up. And finally, zucchini. You can use asparagus if you want, yellow squash. We'll cut this that. And we are good to go. Went ahead and turned on the pan for the steak. We're going to sear it. Again, you'll be able to grill it if you want, pan sear it, whatever works for you. So again, we get the steak here. We make sure this is extremely hot. I'm going to show you guys here in a second how we want to get this. So again, we're going to go ahead and season our steaks. Very important, you season them aggressively, which means you put a lot of salt and pepper on there because a lot of it falls off of it. So you want that to hit the pan so you can develop that flavor, okay? So we got our 2 steaks here. I got our seasoning. Kosher salt's really good. So again, I would prefer either sea salt or kosher. Don't use iodized salt. Flatten it out. Now these are pretty dry, so if your steaks are a little moist, get a paper towel and make sure that you get all that moisture. Okay, so like on this side here, again, these steaks are pretty dry. Again, both sides. Now because the fact that you do want to season them heavily is because of the fact they're so thick. So you want to be able to get that nice crust on the outside. And so again, by it being so thick, you're going to develop all that flavor. Okay, so again, we're going to get those going just like so. Alright, so we're going to wait for our pan to get super hot. I've got a cast iron. You will have a saute pan. Well, just so you know that if you're going to sear, never use Teflon. So now, as you can see, it's smoking hot, and that's what you're looking for, okay? We've got our 2 steaks here. As you can see, the choice, the prime. You can do this 2 ways. You can pour it into the pan. Be careful for flare-ups. Make sure there's no water. Or you can actually put it on the steak, okay, which is what I'll do here. All right, we'll pat it a little. Get it all on there. Okay, so we'll go on that side here. Nice, good sear, okay? You want to develop that flavor just like that, okay? All right, so depending how you want to cook it, if you want to cook it more or less medium to well, then you might want to go ahead and get it seared on both sides. Put it into a pan and go into the oven. If you want it rare to medium rare, you could pretty much get it that way in the pan. Okay? So again, it just takes a little longer. We want to develop that nice, beautiful sear. Okay, so we got to let this go a little bit. Alright, so roughly 3 minutes, 4 minutes, then you want to go ahead and turn it around. Look at that. That's what we're looking for. You get that beautiful salt, pepper, garlic, nice and crusty. That's what you're looking for, both sides, just like that, okay? Very, very important. You want to develop that nice, beautiful crust on the outside. At this point, we just kind of let it go. If you guys want to get the back side, you definitely can do that as well, which is the fatty side. Make sure you get this first, and then you can kind of put it on, get a nice little crust on the fat there. We'll go ahead and do that, okay? So we'll let this go for about another 2 to 3 minutes. Alright, so let's take a look at the next side. So that's what we're looking for. So again, you want to go ahead and start doing the fatty side. You can do that as well. Just kind of get it up there. Try not to disturb the crust. So again, you get that on there. Especially if you're not going to go in the oven. The oven should probably give it a nice crust if you're going to go medium to well done. And then now I'm going to lower the flame a little here, okay? We've had it up really high. And again, in your case, you want to go about probably 75 on your induction stove. And there you go. There you go. Now we're going to lower her down and kind of let it cook on its own. All right, so we let this go for a total of about 8 minutes. So they're actually ready. All right, now remember, you got these pan drippings in here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let these rest. All right. So again, you can clearly tell which one's the prime, which one's the choice. Actually, the choice is a little thicker. You guys will probably be getting more of a 10 ounce, which is probably what this is, a 10 ounce. And then again, you'll have a 10 ounce choice and a 10 ounce prime. So it's very important. So for the veggies, we're going to get a pan on. Again, you could use your other same pan if you'd like, or you can go into another one. And we are going to get this smoking hot for the veggies, and then we'll go ahead and fire roast them. Okay, so pan should be hot enough. Again, we added oil. Don't add oil to the pan, add oil to the veggies. Place them in there. And you just let them kind of do their stuff. So don't disturb them. Just let them sit in there. If you feel you don't have enough oil, add a little oil to it. Again, all we're doing is getting a little char. So that'll bring out the sweetness in the veggies. It's okay if they're stacked a little. Again, just want to get that nice little char. And then once you get the char, kind of move them. Let them rest again. Let them kind of cook for another 2 or 3 minutes. Then after that, you can lower the flame and then just kind of saute them. All right, after 3-4 minutes, you can see we want a nice little char on those. That's what you're looking for, see that? And then just kind of move them up. All right. And then you will eventually add a little oil, but let's go ahead and get that char first. You can see there. Okie dokes. So again, add a little oil. Now we're going to saute, lower the flame. And basically, just make sure they're cooked through. And see that beautiful color we got there. And again, they're not burnt. It's got a nice good char. Okay, so with those pan drippings, if you'd like, and again, if you did it, if you're doing them in the pan, add a little water, so you got all this flavor. So again, you can add a little water to it, or stock. We'll have stock too if you need it. Okay, you've got that salt, pepper on the bottom. Then add a little vinegar. That'll just kind of bring it all out, all that flavor out. Taste it. You got a nice little steak sauce. Adjust for salt and pepper if necessary. Do it one more. Go ahead and add that in. Make sure you get all that. There you go. You can also add butter to that as well. All right, now we are ready for plate up. Number one, we'll do the choice as it's rested. Let me just show you something here. All these excess juices. There you go. So all these excess juices go into your sauce. Okay. Now this one, again, you guys can do it any way. Would serve it just as it is. The choice I'm going to go ahead and slice. You can have it just like this. Always the fatty side away. Okay, so if you're going to serve a customer, you always serve it with the meat side towards the customer, the fatty side away. And we got our veggies. Remember, you are taking photos for your portfolio, so this is a good way to, just a good one to do. I might make some herb butter so you guys can put some on top. Okay, so there's our first one. Okay, we're gonna do our second one. Now, when we do our second one, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the steak. And there's the steak. Slice it up. And then you guys will be able to see the difference in taste. Okay, so again, I don't think I went over the pricing on that. The choice was $12.99 a pound. The prime was $27.99 a pound. Just to give you an idea. So as you can see, we got roughly medium rare throughout. You'll see, you can see there. I'll show you when I fan it out. Just so you can take a quick look. We're about medium rare. We get our veggies. And potatoes. And there you go. We got two different steaks. We have a choice and a prime.